Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session, looking at the Chester Mystery Cycle play 16A. Confusingly just follows 16. There is no 16B. It's very odd. Through to plays 17 and 18. In a sense, this isn't our first look exploring session. There was a first look at this a few years ago on the podcast, but for verisimilitude and to get this room up to speed with all of the medieval stuff, this is our last medieval text, in fact almost our last Stuart text left for the YouTube room to explore and discover. With Chester, and in fact any mystery cycle, there's always the risk of a fair amount of anti-Semitic content, anti-Jewish content in the text. It is sort of the nature of early Christianity for that. And as we're going to move into the Crucifixion, we will have scenes of violence. But don't worry, it comes back. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Spoilers. And so, yes, I am actually going to be leaving the room to Sarah to discover this and see how it all bounces along. But reading Caiaphas, Adam, Satan, First Angel, and Peter is...
in Suffolk.
Reading Annas, Nicodemus, Esay, Michael, Mother, and a Second Angel is...
Lynn, in the northwestern United States.
Reading Simon, Third Jew, Mary the Virgin, Centurio, Seth, Third Demon, and Third Soldier is...
Hi, Olga, here in Moscow.
Reading First Woman, First Jew, Mary Magdalene, First Thief, John the Baptist, Helias, and Elias, and First Soldier is...
Rachael, actor on the East Coast.
Reading
Host.
Pilate, Mary, Jacobi, John, Longyus, Simeon, and Enoch is...
Connor in London.
And reading Jesus, Fourth Jew, and Joseph is...
Hi, I'm Eric. I am the Alpha and Omega and all that stuff. No, I'm not. That's not. Yeah, I'm here.
That's your daddy. That's your daddy. That's...
The beginning and the end, and I won't quote that now. Anyway.
And hosting the session, reading stage directions, and somehow also reading Second Woman, Second Jew, Mary Salome, Second Thief, David, Second Demon, Thief, and Second Soldier is...
Sarah in Germany.
Everyone's going to forget who they are. This is going to be awfully fiddly, and you're going to stop every so often between the three plays and then discussion at the end. Otherwise, I'm going to hand over to Sarah. Thank you very much, Sarah, and see you at the end.
Thank you very much, Robert. So let's get straight down to it with play 16A, which is the Ironmonger's play. And we kick this off with Caiaphas.
Now of this saga have we been sicker. Against him boots us not to bicker. Though he flight, flatter or flicker, this fit he shall he not flee. Thou, Jesu, would thou be our king? Go forth, evil joy thee wing, for broken on thee at our liking, full soon shall we be. Gird him fast and make him go, this freak that is our elders' foe. For all his wiles, from this woe, shall no man him wear.
Him seems weary of his way. Some help to get, I will essay, for this cross in good fay, so far he may not bear. Come hither, Simon of Surrey, and take his cross anon in high, and to the Mount of Calvary, help that it were borne.
The devil spit all this company. For death he is not worthy. For his sake, sickly, I hold you all forlorn. To bear no cross am I intent, for it was never mine assent to procure this prophet's judgment full of the Holy Ghost.
Simon, but thou wilt be shent, and suffer pain and imprisonment. This cross upon the back thou hent, and let all be all I boast.
Alas, that ever I hither come, would God I had been in Rome, when I the way hither come thus to be annoyed. But God I take to witness that I do this by distress. All Jews for this falseness I hope will be destroyed.
Have done, bring forth those thieves too. On either side of him shall they go. This, sir, shall be honored so, with fellowship in fair. Takes him here bound and fast, while a whipcord here will last. prime of the day is past. How shall we be here? How long
Alas,
shall
alas, alas, and woe is me. A doleful sight this is to see. So many sick saved hath he, and now goes thus away.
Sorrowful may his mother be, to wit the flesh so fair and free, nailed so foul upon a tree, as he must be today.
Ye women of Jerusalem, weeps not for me, nor makes no swim, but your own barn team you may weep tenderly. For time shall come without unweir, ye shall bless belly that never child bare, and paps that never milk came near. So much is your annoy.
Have done, ye tormentors, died. Spoil him that hath done us spite.
Yea, though he both piss and shit, out he shall be shaken. Be thou wroth, be thou fain, I will be thy chamberlain. This coat getst thou never again, and I be waken.
This coat shall be mine, for it is good and fine, and seam is none within that I can see.
Yeah, God give me pine, and that shall be thine, and thou art ever inclined to draw towards thee.
Nay, fellow, by this day, by the dice we will play, and there we shall I say this weed for to win.
Yea, fellow, by my fay, well canst thou say. Lay forth these clothes, lay on board ere we blin.
Fellows, now let's see, here are dice 3, which of all we shall win this ware?
Nay, parted it shall be, for that's equality. In 4 parts as mote I thee, or we heaven fair.
This coat without seam to break it for swim, for all in all Jerusalem there's none such vermin.
His dame now may dream for her own barn team, for neither aunt nor eame gets this garment.
His other clothes all to us 4 mun fall. First part them I shall, and after dice for this. This kirtle mine I call, and take thou this pall. Each man in this hall what's I do not amiss. This corset take to thee, and thou this to thy fee. Each man may see that all we be served.
Yeah, I read now that we sit down, so mote I thee, and look worse this shall be that is here reserved.
And here we have a stage direction. Then everyone sits down and throws dice, the first Jew throwing 10s.
Now will I begin for to cast ere I blin. This coat for to win, that is good and fine.
By my father's kin, no part hast thou in, but ere I heathen twin, this coat shall be mine. Take here, I dare lay, a roundful in good fay.
Thou fails by my faith to have this to thy fee, for it was cater tray. Therefore go thou thy way, and as well thou may, and leave it with me.
Fellows, vermins, I read you all assent. This gay garment that is without seam, you give by my judgment to me this vestment, for since God has sent, think you never so sweet.
As have thy good grace well won it thou has, for since there was, each man might see.
Man for cock's face, how long shall Poderace stand naked in that place? Go nail him to the tree.
Anon, master, anon. A hammer have I won. As far as I have gone, there is not such another.
And here are, by my pun, nails, very good one, to nail thereupon, though he were my brother.
Go we to it fast. This caitiff I have cast, that shall be wrong rast ere I win the way.
Here is a rope will last, for to draw at the mast. This poplard never passed so perilous a play.
Lay him thereupon, this ilk-amaced mon, and I shall drive on this nail to the end.
This broke I my pun, well cast him I can. He shall be well won ere I from him wend.
Fellows, will ye see how slight I will be this fist ere I flee here to make fast?
Yea, but as mote I thee, Short-armed is he to bring to this tree, it will not long last.
Ha! Therefore care thou naught, a slight I have sought. Ropes must be bought to strain him with strength.
A rope as beheight, Ye shall have it brought. Take here one well wrought, and draw him on length.
Draw us for your father's kin. What while that I drive in this iron pin that I dare lay with last?
As ever have I win. His arm is but a fin, now drives on, but din, and we shall draw fast.
Fellowed by this light, now if his feet were pight, this gammon went aright, and up he should be raised.
That shall be done in height, and none in your sight. For by my troth I plight, I deserve to be praised.
Fellows, will you see how I have stretched his knee? Why praise you, not me, that I have so well done?
Yea, help now that he on height raised be, for as mote I thee, almost it is none.
And we have a stage direction saying, Then Pilate, having the tablet in his hand, says,
Come hither thou, I command thee. Go nail this table on the tree. Sith the King of Jews will be, he must have conceived Jesus of Nazareth men may see. King of Jews, how likes thee? I write thereon, for so said he, without variance.
Now, Sir Pilate, don't know how to make that rhyme, scan rather. Now, Sir Pilate, now Sir Pilate, to us heed. King is he not, as God me speed. Therefore thou dost a sorry deed, that writing many one ruse. Thou should write that many might read, how he lies to each lead, and told over all where he yede that he was King of Jews.
That is written, that have I written.
Yeah, would God thou were beshitten, for all men shall well witten that wrong thou was wrought. What the devil king is he none, but falsely there is he hath gone, told leasing to many one, that full dear shall be bought.
And we have a stage direction, then Mary enters in tears lamenting.
May I ask which Mary is this?
So this will be Mary, the Mother of God, the Virgin Mary.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Alas, my love, my life, my lee, alas, mourning now mads me. Alas, my boot look thou be, thy mother that thee bare. Think on my fruit, I fostered thee, and gave thee suck upon my knee. On my pain have thou pity, thee fails no power. Alas, why nowhere my life forlorn, to find my food me before, tugged, lugged, and all to torn, with traitors now this tide, with nails thrust and crown of thorn. Therefore I'm mad, both even and mourn, to see my birth that I have borne, this bitter bale to bide. Alas, my sorrow, why wilt thou not slake, and to this traitor's me betake, to suffer death, son, for thy sake, and do as I thee say? Alas, thieves, why do you so? Slay me, and let my son go. For him suffer I would this woe, and let him wend his way.
Alas, how should my heart be light to see my seemly lord in sight, skilfully drawn and all to dight, that did never man grieven. Marred I am main in might, and for him me fails to fight. But God that I rules the right, he give you mickle mischance.
Alas, so sets me sore, mirth of thee get I no more. Why wouldst thou die, Jesus? Wherefore that to the dead gave life? Help me, Jesu, with something, and out of this bitter bale me bring, or else slay me for anything, and sting me of this strife.
Come, Lord, down and break thy bands, loose and heal thy lovely hands. Or tell me, Jesu, for whom thy wounds, since thou art God and man. Alas, that ever I born was, to see my Lord in such unpeace. My sorrow will never slake nor cease, such sorrow is me upon.
Now this shrew is hoven in height, I would see, for all his sleight, for his crown, how he would fight. and found from us to flee. He that hath healed so many a one, now save himself, if that he can, and we shall leave upon him that he is, that God's son is he.
Father of heaven, if thy will be, forgive them that this they done to me. They be blind and may not see how foul they do amiss.
Thou be of such posterity, and God's son in majesty come down, and we will leave on thee, that soothly so it is.
If thou be Christ, verily, and God's son, now Esay, save us from this death today, and thyself also.
Ah, man, be still, I thee pray. Dread God, I rede thee, for foolishly thou speaks in fay. Make not thy friend thy foe. Man, thou knows well, I wis, that righteously we suffer this, but this man hath not done amiss to suffer so great annoy. But, Lord, I beseech thee, when thou art in thy majesty, then that thou wilt think on me, and on me have mercy.
Man, I tell thee in good faith, for thy belief is so very. In paradise thou shalt be today with me in my bliss. And to thee, woman, also I say, there thy son thou see may, that Queen Virgin has been as like as thyself is. And John, thy mother, there may thou see.
Yea, Lord, her keeper I will be. Welcome, Mary, mother free. Together we must go.
Alas, my heart will break in three. As death I conjure thee, my life, son, thou take from me, and twin me from this woe.
Comfort thee, sweet Mary. Though we suffer this annoy, I tell thee, sister, sickly, O life shall miss him see, and rise up with full victory. When he has fulfilled this prophecy, thou shalt see him fall sickly within these 3 days.
Healy, 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 my God, I speak to thee. Healy. Yeah, sorry, that's what I'm saying. Lama sabachthani, why hast thou forsaken me?
Hark, he crieth upon Heli for to deliver him hastily.
Abide, and we shall wit in high whether Healy dare come here or no.
My thirst is sore, my thirst is sore.
Yeah, thou shalt have a drink, therefore, that thou shalt list to drink no more of all these 7 years.
Almighty God, in majesty, to work thy will I will never want. My spirit I betake to thee. Receive it, Lord, into thy hand.
And we have a stage direction, he dies.
Lordings, I say you sickly that we have wrought willfully Almighty. Willfully, this was God's Son Almighty. For I know by the prophecy, no other forsooth will I, that God's Son is he, for needs so it must be. Therefore, sirs, very feared am I know by manner of his cry, to hear this noise and this cry he has fulfilled the prophecy. I am ashamed, verily, and God hath shewed pertly this uncouth sight to see, in him all men may know.
Centurio, as God me speed, peace, and speak not of that deed. Thou must be smutted, thou canst not read, for of him thou getst no meed. But when thou seest his heart bleed, what needs thee so to say? Let's see what thou canst say. But Longyus, take this spear in hand to pierce his heart. Look thee nay wand, and put from thee.
Hey, Lord, I see neither nor land. This 7 year is good fay.
Take this spear and take good heed, and do as the bishop thee bade. A thing that is great need to one I hold thee would.
I will do as ye bid me, but not on your peril it shall be. What I do may not see, where it be ill or good.
And we have a stage direction then. Longyus pierces the side of Christ with a spear, saying,
High King of heaven, I call thee here. What I have done well, what I near, but on my hands and on my spear, what water runs from there through, and on my eyes can fall, that I may see you, some and all. A Lord, wherever be the wall that this water come from.
and a stage direction, then he looks up.
Alas, alas, and wheel away, where deed I have done today. A man I see, forsooth to say, I have slain in this affray. But this, I hope, very Christ be, that sick and blind, though his piety hath healed before this city, as thou hast me today. There will I serve and with thee be, for well I believe in days 3, thou wilt rise through thy prosty, and save then all this call.
Oh Lord, what hearts have ye to slay this man that now I see? Vengeance upon you witterly, I warrant soon shall fall. Yeah, there's a textual thing here. Anyway, alas, how should I be merry to see his body fair and free, all too torn upon a tree that was so principal? Nicodemus, sir, both you and I have cause to worship him wittily, and his body glorify, for God's son he is. For secondly, God's son is he, therefore a tomb is made for me. Then his body buried shall be, for he is king of bliss. Therefore go we by and worship him devoutly, for we may therewith pardie with us heaven bliss.
Joseph, I leave this secretly, that he is God's Son Almighty. Go ask of Pilate of his body, and buried it shall be. I shall help thee witterly to take him down devoutly. Though Caiaphas go wood thereby, and eke also his many.
To Pilate, brother, will we gone, you and I together alone, to ask his body of our fund, that it may be thy rede. A sepulchre, I wot there is one, well graved in a stone, he shall be buried. Flesh and bone, his body that is dead.
And we have a stage direction then. Joseph of Arimathea goes to Pilate and says,
Ben avus, Sir Pilate in high, Sir Pilate special, I thee pray, as you sit in your see, a boon thou grant me as I may, a boon grant for charity. This prophet that is dead today, to my brother and me, thou grant me his body. The body of my Lord Messi that you nailed on a tree, grant us, Lord, in sovereignty, and buried it shall be.
Joseph, I tell thee without nay, Joseph already in good faith, that body thou shalt have today, in that Centurio he will say. But let me know, I pray thee, that he is dead, and within nay, whether his life be gone, him will I not deny. Hark, Centurio, is Jesus dead?
Yea, sir, as ever break I bread. In him is no life led, for never whole vain, for I stood thereby.
Joseph, then take him to thee, and goes let him be buried be. But look thou make no signatory to raise him up again.
Grant mercy, sir, of dignity. You need not for to warn it me. I thank you heartfully for rise, we will of his posterity, and make us all full fain.
and we have a stage direction, then they will go by way of the mountain. And this has been interpreted as they leave the place of crucifixion, possibly.
Ah, sweet Jesus, sweet Jesus, that thou must die, for well thou knew, as God thou art faithful and true. Lord, thou grant us grace and virtue in a tomb is made full new to serve thee in our life. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Thy body shall be laid. The day to thy bliss renew, all that ever to thee be true. For Emperor, king, knight, nay Jew, with thee they dare not strive. Therewith, Jesu, come hither to me, thy blessed body shall be with all worship and honesty, and mensk all that I may. Yet hope I within these days 3 in flesh and blood alive to see that thou that art nailed on a tree unworthily today.
Joseph, brother, as I well see, this holy prophet is given to thee. Some worship he shall have of me, that is of might most. For as I leave by my luti, very God's son is he, for very sights men may see, when he that yield the ghost. For the sun lost his light, earthquake made men affright. That rock that never had cleft did cleave, then as men might know. Sepulchres opened in men's sight, dead men risen there by night. I may say he is God Almight, such signs that can show. Therefore, brought here have I 100 pound of spicery, myrrh, aloes, and many more. Thereby to honor him will I bring, for to balm his sweet body, and sepulchre for to lie, that he may have on me mercy, when he in heaven is king.
And that is the end of the Ironmonger's play. Yeah, heavy stuff. This is the big one. The Crucifixion. It's quite a bit longer than some of the others in the Chester cycle that I've seen. Covers a lot of stuff. You've got the run up to the crucifixion itself, and then the aftermath with Nicodemus offering up his
Joseph offering his grave, and
Joseph, yes, and Nicodemus offering up his balms for the body. Yeah, so it's not. We were talking about this with Rob before we started recording. It's not the most brutal version of the crucifixion that we have in a mystery play, but it's still pretty intense, I would say. Thoughts from the room? Anyone got any feelings about this, Lynn?
Well, Alan.
Oh, Alan. Sorry, Alan first, then Lynn.
Yeah, and it doesn't help the fact that Chester's come down in a number of different versions. And in some cases, the script we've got is showing side by side 2 possible alternate readings, which have come down through different routes. And sometimes they do make sense if you conflate the lines, sometimes they don't. So we were all confused, which means the audience will almost definitely be confused.
Yes, so if you're following along at home with a text of the Chester play, and some of what we were reading is not there, it's because some members of cast were reading like both versions. There was a different version in brackets, and they were reading both sets of lines. But quite often they do work together. So I think in a lot of places you could actually conflate the two if you wanted to.
That's exactly why it took us some time to work out that we can't always read them, that it's some different version.
Yeah. I was expecting more. Oh no, sorry. Before I go on that tangent, Lynn, you had something to say.
Oh, if my memory of Bible study from when I was a kid, if memory serves, it was Roman soldiers who were gambling for Jesus' clothes, not Jews.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I don't think. I'm going to leave my feelings about the Bible itself out of this, but I think in terms of the actual plays, the Chester plays, we can definitely take them as being fiction, inspired by the original source material rather than a faithful rendition for sure. All that business with the casting of the clothes, I did find that fascinating, because I was thinking, if this had been the mercers doing this, or the tailors, I could have understood all that detail a lot more, because they really did go into the detail, didn't they? Of like, oh, his coat, and his coat's very nice, and I want his coat. No, I'm going to have his coat. You have his corset, and all this malarkey. And I did think, well, you do sometimes get like little indications of the preoccupations of the guild who are putting this together coming up in the text. And if I'd just read that, I would have thought it was maybe something to do with, fabric or clothing, whereas in actual fact, it was the ironmongers, and we didn't really have any sort of irony details in there at all. There were a couple of mentions of nails, but nothing, nothing
it's
really.
the ironmongers because of the nails, but
they didn't really make a thing of it the way I know they do in some other mystery cycles, although for the life of me I can't remember which one. But yes, no, that was kind of played down. Very strong rhyme schemes, as always, as we get in mystery plays. There's always a debate. Do you resist it? Do you kind of succumb to it? Do you try and do something in between? I'm usually a fan of going with it, I have to say, because I think it just kind of creates this kind of amazing rhythm. But of course, it was designed to be spoken outside, and of course that rhyme and rhythm helps to carry your audience along with you when you've got a lot of competing noises from crowds and vendors selling things, and animals snorting and God knows what else. Not planes flying overhead. That was one thing the medievals didn't have to contend with outdoor theatre, but various other things. But I mean, this is staged in Chester. They do still stage these plays in Chester every so often. I can't remember how many years it is. Is it every 5 years, 7 years? I really can't remember. So that they do get staged on a semi-regular basis. Thoughts about how you could stage them? Anyone got any ideas about how they would like to do this? I mean, it's a pretty you've got a dude being tied to a cross and raised up into the air. It's a pretty, whether you know the story or not, it's a pretty spectacular sort of an intense bit of theatre. So what would you do with this? Any ideas, Eric?
Well, in modern theatre, obviously we have the problem like health and safety, which I think Rob has talked about extensively in other versions. But it's interesting because you have to have someone who's lifted onto a cross, and then, well, obviously nailed onto a cross. So you have to have that visible, or at least some indication that that's there. And then his side is pierced with a spear as well. So it's not just like putting on the crown and the sort of the nails. It's the sort of the added element of post-mortem bleeding or something, which is kind of like, I don't know, it's just sort of, it's not overkill exactly, but I mean, I don't know how you would do that on stage without like sort of, I guess you would create like a sort of pouch or something sort of to pierce at a specific point, otherwise you injure the actor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they did it in a sort of metaphorical way with maybe a piece of red fabric that sort of came out, or whether I like your idea of the pouch. They maybe had an animal bladder on a belt or something that was pierced. That would be great, because you get the front row of the audience down below. Olga.
Well, my imagination offered me the picture of sort of platforms on different levels, because it seemed like there are small groups of characters doing their things, and then occasionally moving from one group to another. or somehow interacting between platforms, but mostly like different levels and different attitudes, which could be pretty easily done in a medieval setting with different platforms, though Christ being on the highest, obviously, and can be easily done today.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice option for today. I mean, I think, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the actual original medieval times they would have been on carts.
Sort of, yes.
But I think what you were talking about with the platforms, I can really see that working. Especially, I know a lot of the Chester, if not all of the Chester cycle, when they do it now, they do it in churches. So if you've got a space with a big, high, I was going to say auditorium, a big high nave, and you've got plenty of height there, you could absolutely do that with, and perhaps they have, I don't know, with like scaffolding. You could have like scaffolding, different sections with different platforms, as you were saying, and then, you know, nice big old great big super trooper spotlight, and then you could like hit one platform, you know, with the Jews talking about the lots, and then hit another one with Joseph and Nicodemus, and hit another one with Mary, and hit the top one with Jesus himself. I mean, yeah, that would be really quite spectacular, actually. Eric?
I was going to say that it's interesting how, I mean, like, because I remember in previous sessions of Chester cycle plays and other mystery cycle plays, we've had a lot of music. This doesn't have any music in this particular version, in this particular play. Which,
well, not in this, not that we know of. I mean, there could have been, but yeah.
What I was going to say is, because obviously if you do it as a, because Rachael mentioned in the chat, like, it's very operatic, so you could probably add like sort of, well, not rhythmic wailing, but sort of harmonic wailing. I don't know what you would call it, but like sort of, you know, this sort of a drone in the background, especially if you have it being performed in a church or outside a church. And because I don't know if you got like, if you heard like chanting, like just like that drone can actually be quite hair-raising if it's done right.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And then you could have the characters kind of feeding into it as well at different times. That would be very atmospheric. And if you've listened to the Beyond Shakespeare adaptation of Iphigenia at Aulis by Lady Jane Lumley, you will know that I am very keen on a bit of keening. I was getting my actors to do quite a bit of that for that play, and it can be a really effective and, as you say, hair-raising. It can create an amazing feeling for the audience on audio as well as live in stage. Right, I saw hands. There's Olga. Then did I say? And then Alan. Yeah.
Well, I'll just briefly want to, picking up Rachael's and Eric's idea again in my imagination immediately. I connected it with Ironmongers, and we can have this pretty nice beat of hammers.
Yeah.
As an underlay for all this beautiful speaking.
So creepy,
yeah. Very cool. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that if we put it in modern terms, we'd probably be thinking about a conventional stage, either thrust stage or proscenium stage. I think if you go back, what you would probably find is that you've got the pageant card, which may well have had 2 levels, and also quite a lot of the stuff which is almost promenade style could actually have been done at the level of the audience. You know, when you got Joseph and Nicodemus going to Pilate, they could well be having that conversation, walking along effectively in front of the pageant cart to the cart on which Pilate is sitting. So it's probably slightly more dynamic than some particularly early 20th century or 19th century productions of plays would have been.
Oh yeah, I mean, yes, I mean it would have, because it just would have been moving. So yeah, on the carts. So yeah. And actually, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the swell of the crowds who were following the carts. I mean, they would have created their own soundscape as well. Anyone got anything else to add about this? We've had some really interesting ideas about staging it. Eric.
Well, what I found interesting, okay, as someone who's reading Jesus as well, at the beginning he doesn't say much. He's kind of, I mean, they're all kind of just throwing words at him, sort of, oh, Jesus, aren't you a smart ass for being the king of heaven and all that stuff, the king of the Jews and blah, blah, blah. But like most of it is just like focused on them taking his clothing off, making him like basically stripping him of his earthly belongings and stuff. So it's quite like almost like they're silencing him kind of thing.
Yeah.
He is speaking after all that carrying of the cross and sort of, whatever. So I don't know, it's just, I feel like it could be quite intense as well if you stage it like this. And yeah.
I mean, I guess that fits with the iconography of the time, because you've got countless paintings, medieval paintings of this scene, that where he is he's shown carrying his cross or being crucified, and he's always he's the meek, he's the lamb. He doesn't speak. It's everyone else. I'm thinking there's that incredible painting of him carrying his own cross by I think it's Hieronymus Bosch, where everybody is just, we have all these faces crowding round the figure of Christ, and they're just like jeering and pulling faces, and it's there's a lot of movement and jostling, and you can tell they're obviously meant to be like yelling at him and spitting at him and insulting him, and he's just there like just taking it all, as you say, being silenced. So you could absolutely play that up, and the text does reflect that in this version. Right, okay. If no one, we've been joined by a cat. How lovely. Nice to see. Nice to have a bit of a feline presence. So that was play 16A. And we're going to move on now to play 17. But before we do, I would like to welcome Irene to the room.
Hello. Hi, I'm so sorry.
No.
There are too many things to do, and I think I can do them all, but obviously. Thank you for welcoming me.
It's a pleasure and a delight. So Irene is going to take on... what we'll do is we'll revert to our original schedule. So Irene, if you can take on for this play David, Second Demon and Thief. And then I think this is the play that has Satan in, isn't it? So Alan, I will play Satan, and you will go back to being Adam.
Yep.
If that's all right. And then Irene, if you can also, you'll be taking on Second Soldier as well in the final play.
I'm just trying to find where we're playing all that.
So we're play 17. We're about a fifth of the way through the text. I don't have any page numbers.
Page 14 on my.
Yeah, me too.
But it's the Cook's play. If you do a search for Cook's, you should find it. Play 17, it's the Cooks and the Innkeepers play. So it'll be interesting to see if we get any references to beer or food or anything. I don't know if we will or not, because I think, is this going to be the Harrowing of Hell? I'm thinking it might be, because Adam is going to play a fairly major role by the looks of things. And yeah, Satan's going to pop up at some point, so I think we are down below. And again, it's always interesting to think about the staging of this one, how you would stage hell today. I mean, today, of course, you can have all kinds of fun, but It's interesting to think about how they would have done this on their carts. Yes, Eric, like a bat out of hell, indeed. Right, Irene, have you found your place? Grand. Okay. So we're moving into place 17, and it doesn't say, but I think we are down in the depths, and we begin with Adam.
Hey, Lord and sovereign Saviour, our comfort and our counsellor of this light, thou art author, as I see well in sight. This is a sign thou wilt succour thy folk that have been in great languor, and of the devil be conqueror, as thou hast yore behight. Me thou madest Lord of clay, and gave me paradise to play, but after my sin, sooth to say, deprived I was therefro, and from that wheel put away, and here have lengen Sithene in the sterns both night and day, and all my kind also. Now by this light that now I see, joy is comen, Lord, through thee, and of thy people thou hast pity, to put them out of pain. Sicker it may none other be, but how thou hast mercy on me, and my kind, through thy postee, thou wilt restore again.
Yea, secretly, this ilky light comes from God's Son all night. For so I prophesied aright while that I was living. Then I to all men be hight, as I ghostly saw in sight, this word that I through God's might shall rehearse without tarrying. The people, that time I said express, that went about in Thesterness, see a full great lightness, as we done now, each one. Now is fulfilled my prophecy that I, the prophet Esay, wrote in my books that will not lie. Whoso will look thereupon.
And I, Simeon, sooth to say, that will honour God all that I may. For when Christ a child was, in good faith, in temple I took him. And as the Holy Ghost that day taught me ere I went away, these words I said to God pay, that men may find in book. There I prayed, without a lease, that God would let me die in peace. For he is Christ that comes was, I had both felt and seen. And that had ordained for man's heal, for joy to the people of Israel. Now it is one that like will to us withouten ween.
Yea, Lord, I am that ilk Johann that followed thee in flood Jordan, and that in world about can gone to warn of thy coming, and to bring the people to salvation by merit of thy bitter passion, through faith and penance to have remission, and with thee to have warning. And with my finger I showed express a meek lamb in thy likeness, when I lived in wilderness, in token that thou comen was, mankind of Baal to bring, our ransom for to be. At thy coming we had forgiveness, mercy concluded right wiseness. Therefore these words I do rehearse with honor unto thee.
And I, Seth, Adam's son, am here, that living went withouten were, to ask at paradise a prayer at God, as I shall say, that he would grant an angel in high to give me oil on his mercy, to anoint my father in his night in sickness when he lay. Then to me appeared Michael, and bade me try never dell, and said, weeping no prayers fell, availing me nothing to seek. Nay, of that oil might I have none, made I never so much moan, till 5,000 years were gone, and 500th eke.
Ah, high God and King of bliss, worshipped by thy name your ways, I hope that time now common is to deliver us of danger. Come, Lord, come to hell anon, and take out thy folks every one, for those years are fully gone, sith mankind first came here.
We have a stage direction. Then Satan, sitting in a chair, said to the demons, Hellhounds, all that be here, make you bound with boast and beer, for to this fellowship in fear there hies a fearly freak. A noble morsel ye have mon. Jesu, that is God's Son, comes hither with us to one. On him now, yea, you reek. A man he is fully in fay, for greatly death he dread today. And these words I heard him say, My soul is thirst unto death. Such as I made halt and blind, he hath healed into their kind. Therefore that boister look that you bind in bale of hell breath.
Sir Satanas, what man is he that should thee privy of prive of thy posty? How dare he go against thee and dread his death today? Greater than thou he seems to be, for degraded of thy degree thou must be soon, will I see, and prived of thy prey.
Who is he so stiff and strong that masterly comes thus along? Our fellowship that he would form, or thereof he shall fail. Wert hear us without any wrong, he shall sing a sorry song. But on thee, Satanas, it is long, and his will aught avail.
Against this shrew that comes here, I tempted the folk in foul maneer. Isel and gall to his dinner I made them for to dight, and hang him on a rude tree. Now is he dead right so through me, and to hell, as ye shall see, he comes anon in height.
Satan, is not this that sire that raised Lazar out of the fire?
Yea, this is he that will conspire anon to reave us all.
Out, out, alas, alas, here I conjure thee, Satanas, thou suffer him not to come to this place, for aught that may befall.
Yea, sickly, and he come here, past his clean up hour, for all this fellowship is in fear he may take away, and when he would, for all be his commandment. Lazar that with us was lent, maugre our teeth away he went, and him might he not be, and him might we not behold.
We have a stage direction, then Jesus comes, and there is a cry or a great crashing sound.
Open hell gates anon, you princes of pain, everyone, that God's Son may in gone, and the King of bliss.
Go hence, Pobbard, from this place, or thou shalt have a sorry grace. For all thy boast and thy menace, these men thou shalt miss.
Out! Alas! What is this? See I never so much bliss toward hell come ewis, sith I was prince here. My masterdom now fares amiss, for yonder a stubborn fellow is, right as holy hell were his to reave me of my power.
Yes, Athanas, thy sovereignty fails clean, therefore flee, for no longer in this sea here shall thou now sit. Go forth, fight for thy degree, or else our prince shalt thou not be, for now passes thy posty, and hence thou must flit.
We have a stage direction, then Satan arises and says from his seat, Out! Alas! I am shent! My might fails vehement. This prince that is now present will spoil from me my prey. Adam, by mine enticement, and all his blood through me were blent. Now hence they shall all be hent, and I in hell for aye.
I, King David, thou well may say, my prophecy fulfilled is in fay, as now showest in sight veray, and soothly here is seen. I taught men thus here in my life day to worship God by all way, that hell yates he should affray, and one that he bath been.
And we have a stage direction. There is probably some sort of homily or song that says, "Praise be to the Lord for his mercies and his miracles. The Son of Man broke the gates of heaven and broke the bars of iron." And then Jesus says,
"Open up, hell gates, yet I say, you princes of pine that be present, and let the King of Bliss this way, that he may fulfill his intent."
I beg your pardon. "Say, what is he, that King of Bliss?"
"That Lord, the which Almighty is, there is no power the like to his, of all joy is greatest King. And to him is none like Ibwis, as is soothly seen by this. For man that sometime did amiss, to his bliss will he bring."
Stage direction here. Jesus releases Adam.
"Peace to thee, Adam, my darling, and eke to all thy offspring, that righteous were in earth living, from me you shall not sever. To bliss now I will you bring, there you shall be without ending. Michael, lead these men singing to joy that lasteth ever."
Lord, your will done shall be. Come forth, Adam, come with me. My Lord, upon the rude tree your sins hath forbought. Now shall you have liking and lee, and be restored to your degree, that Satan, with his subtlety, from bliss to bale hath brought.
"Out, alas! Now goes away my prisoners and all my prey, and I might not stir one stray, I am so straitly dight. Now comes Christ, sorrow I may, for me and my many for aye. Never sith God made the first day, were we so foul of right." And we have a stage direction. Here must Adam speak to Enoch and Helias.
Say, what manner men be ye, that bodily meeten us, as I see, and dead come not to hell as we, since all men damned were? When I trespassed, God help me, that this place closed always should be, from earthly man to have entry, and yet I find you here.
Sir, I am Enoch, sooth to say, put into this place to God's pay, and here have lived ever since that day, at liking and all my fill, and my fellow here is good fay. He is Haley the prophet, as you see may, that ravished was in thy array, as it was God's will.
Yea, bodily death leave thou me, yet never suffered we, but here ordained we are to be, till Antichrist come with his. Fight against us shall he, and slay us in the holy city, but sickerly, within days 3, and half 1, we shall rise.
And who is this that cometh here, with cross on shoulder in such manner?
I am that thief, my father dear, that hung on rude tree, but for I lived without were, that Christ might save us both in fear. To him I made my prayer, the which was granted me, when I see signs verae, that he was God's son, sooth to say. For him devoutly I can pray in this realm when he come to think on me by all way. And he answered and said, this day in paradise thou me, with me thou shalt die. So hither the way I know. And he betook me this tokening, a cross upon my back hanging, the angel Michael for to bring, that I might have entry.
Go we to bliss then, old and young, and worship God, alway wielding. Afterwards, I read, we sing with great solemnity.
And we have a stage direction. Then let them all go, and let Michael begin the singing of "We Praise You, God." At which point they all live happily ever after, apart from, in this edition, we have a bonus scene from alternative group texts. So after everyone's gone off singing hand in hand, we have a figure of Mother who comes on and says,
Woe be the time I came here to say, I say to thee now, Lucifer, with all thy fellowship in fair, that present be in place. Woeful am I with thee to dwell, Sir Satanus, sergeant of hell. Endless sorrow and pains cruel I suffer in this case. Sometime I was a taverner, a gentle gossip and a tapster of wine and ale, and a trusty brewer, which woe hath me wrought. Of cans I kept no true measure, my cups I sold at my pleasure, deceiving many a creature, though my ale were naught. And when I was a brewer long, with hops I made my ale strong, ashes and herbs I blend among, and marred so good a malt. Therefore I may my hands wring, shake my cups and cans ring, sorrowful I may seek and sing that ever I so dealt. Taverners, tapsters of this city shall be promoted here with me for breaking statutes of this country, hurting the commonwealth. With all tipplers, tapsters that are cunning, misspending much malt, brewing so thin, selling small cups, money to win, against all truth to deal. Therefore this place now ordained is for such ill doers so much amiss, that shall they have their joy and bliss exalted by the neck with my master. Mighty Mahound, for casting malt besides the comb, much water taking for to compound, and little of the sack. With all mashers, minglers of wine in the night, brewing so, blending against daylight, such new-made claret is full right of sickness and disease. Thus I betake you, more and less, to my sweet master, Sir Satanus, to dwell with him in his place, when it shall you please.
Welcome, dear daughter, to us all three. Though Jesu be gone with our many, yet shalt thou abide here still with me, in pain without end.
Come, sweet lady, I will be wed for many a heavy and drunken head, cause of thy ale that were brought to bed, fare worse than any beast.
Welcome, dear darling, to endless bale, using cards, dice, and cups small, with many false others to sell thy ale. Now thou shalt have a feast.
And with that, the play ends. That bonus episode at the end, though, was just that was quite a thing, wasn't it? As Alan said in the chat, and now a word from our sponsor, but I don't know, it was trying to kind of have its cake and eat it, wasn't it? Because on the one hand, it was like, oh yeah, no, people who do bad things in taverns, water down the ale and allow gambling and stuff, they're all going to go to hell with Satan. But then actually, you kind of get the impression that that's where the good party's going to be. They're all going to go off and have a feast. And yeah, there's going to be endless pain, but there's going to be ale. This is a tapster who seems to know what she's doing. And I don't know. Taverners and tapsters of this city shall be promoted here with me. I have a feeling that maybe that was going to end with a big cheer from the crowd, which is maybe not quite what was intended, but maybe it was. I don't know. Thoughts from the room? Eric, then Alan.
It reads more like a sort of, and now a PSA. A public service announcement. In case you are watering down the beer, we're watching you.
Yes. Very good. Alan, then did I see a hand from Irene as well? Yes, Alan and Irene.
I'm just wondering whether it's actually a preemptive strike by the innkeepers of, we'll be nasty about ourselves, so nobody else will be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, that's entirely possible. Irene.
It just felt like all sins are forgiven, but if you water down the beer, you're going to hell.
You're going to hell.
Like,
But then
I guess for people it was what that was a terrible thing. How can you do that?
yeah, absolutely. But then I don't know, hell looks quite fun. Did I see a hand from Rachael there? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if like Dante had been published by the time that this came out. There's something about that. Lynn was doing something. You were saying
1300 is when the Commedia was published, although it didn't get any traction in England. So I would be very surprised if somebody in the English countryside was aware of the Commedia.
Yeah, I don't know. There's similar about that because don't they move somebody from hell? They move like some people up at some point. I thought, but there's something about it. Maybe it's just that it takes place in hell, but there's
Purgatorio, people that like nobody flunks purgatory, right? So there are people who move from purgatory up to heaven, but nobody leaves hell except Dante himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is based on an entire apocryphal book of the Bible, isn't it? Which is the Harrowing of hell, and that when Jesus goes down to hell and grabs everybody who because technically everyone theoretically has been there, all humans who since Adam who have been born have been like hanging out in hell with Satan, and until Jesus comes along and says, "Come with me, bros," and they all go off to heaven at that point. So yeah, I mean, that I think is where this comes from. The Apocrypha. I mean, it crops up in lots of medieval poetry. It crops up obviously in Dante, but it also crops up in I'm thinking about Piers the Plowman has got a great, for anyone who knows that text, there's a great long section in there on the Harrowing of hell as well. So it was quite a common theme. And it we call these books of the Bible apocryphal now because they're not included in the kind of authorized version, but they were they would have been, people would have known them as Bible stories back then. Lynn, is that a hand?
I thought all the Apocrypha were Hebrew Bible, were Old Testament texts. So that oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the Harrowing of hell was Apocrypha as well.
I thought it was just a tradition. Okay, so that's I'm wrong.
What do you think, viewers and listeners at home? Let us know. Am I talking out my arse here? I probably am. It would not be the first time. It will not be the last. Let me know in the comments under the video. Irene and then Alan. Oh, and we have a dog. Fantastic. Nice.
So, first of all, I know that there are New Testament books that are in the Apocrypha as well, not just Old Testament books. No, I just want to go back to this last character was the only character that is someone that they know in a way. Everybody else is David and Jesus and Satan and the demons and all the prophets, and they all but this woman is they know her or someone like her. So it's interesting. And and I can see how it would be you have all of this stuff, grand stuff, and then you kind of go back. It's almost comic, really. The last that last bit. It's almost like, after all of this stuff, we just have a little comedy and we laugh and yeah. She reminds me of a certain Dane at this. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can totally imagine her coming in and doing her best Barbara Windsor. Well, at least if you staging it today, she'd be a sort of local publican. She'd maybe have a couple of beers in her hand. She'd maybe have like waiters with her who would dish out beers to the front row of the audience. I mean, she'd be a really popular comic figure, this, I think. And like you say, she kind of brings it back to people, doesn't she? Which is a really nice contrast, actually, with the earlier prophets, because that was like prophets assemble, wasn't it? It was like everybody. Oh, it's like all the big cheeses are here. We've got Esau, we've got Simeon, we've got come on down, and then of course we've got Adam as well, and I think did John the Baptist crop up at one point as well? I mean, all the big players are there, but they're all kind of quite monumental, and they stick very kind of precise, well, not necessarily, I don't know that precise is the right word, but they stick very much within the limitations of their meter, saying their stuff, and then you get this amazing mother figure at the end who comes on and just blows all that away. Lynn.
Although there's an amusing bit in towards the beginning, I think, the fact that the Prince of Darkness doesn't really have a bead on the situation, and his demons do. He's like, oh, Jesus is coming here to my territory, and they're like, don't let him in here. He's just gonna queer the whole deal. And like, the demons know that this is not good, and Satan's like, blah.
Yeah, and Satan's just like, yeah, no, he's a bit clueless, isn't he? Yeah, he's not really. He's been there too long. He's just, yeah. Eric, did I see a hand from you?
Yeah, it's like politicians are out of touch with reality.
Yeah.
No, but I just like the idea that sort of there's those speeches that Jesus makes about sort of open gates, and it's kind of like open sesame, except I keep imagining him using like sort of, he just does like sort of some gesture or something, and the gates just fly open like he's exploding them. Of course, I don't know if that's what they would use back then, but yeah, I just like the idea that it's like this over the top, like Superman type effect, or sort of I don't know, melting them with his mind, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's basically a superhero, right?
Yeah, he absolutely is. Yeah, and he's gonna
picks everyone to go with him, and he doesn't even really fight them. He doesn't like sort of.
No, everyone just. Yeah, he just.
He's just like, let's go.
Yeah, he just comes in, has a bit of a swagger, blows the bloody doors off, and then everyone just goes with him, and the demons are just like left crying. Alan, and then Rachael.
Yeah, I mean the harrowing of hell was actually quite a popular topic, I think, at this time, and certainly a lot of church wall paintings featuring the harrowing of hell. Most of them in the UK, of course, disappeared during the Protestant Reformation, but they would have been extremely familiar to the original audience for this show and this type of play. And I actually remember seeing a number of years ago in a Christian church in Istanbul, an absolutely superb wall painting that had survived from about the 10th century, I think, of the harrowing of hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's a subject that captures your imagination, isn't it? I mean, it's so visual, and I always think it's interesting, that it's like in the authorized version of the Bible, it's like, Jesus dies and 3 days pass, and then there's, they find the empty tomb and doobie-doo, and this kind of fills in the blank of like, what did he do? What did he do while he was dead? Oh, he went down there. He went down to hell and just like, wreaked havoc, and was a massive, like Eric says, superhero. It's a really colourful episode, this, and you can see why it would have been like massively popular with artists and also with pageant goers, and I wonder if that's why it was given to the tapsters and the innkeepers, the cooks and the innkeepers, because it's like, after you've got the crucifix, it's all very intense and it's all a bit bleak, and then you get this really colourful scene just to give everybody a bit of respite. Who was saying Rachael, then Eric?
Yeah, I was kind of going to say something about like what the last part you just said. Is this could be played very intensely in that alternate sort of ending that we get, the additional text at the end, kind of brings us like, it's not an epilogue, it is an epilogue, but it also kind of starts to take us out of the play and bring us back into, the setting of the place. Because if this is right outside a bar, or they're in a bar or something like that, it's maybe a little bit of breaking of a fourth wall or anything, because nowadays you have, like, if sometimes musicians just play for beer, so maybe these people were playing for beer basically, and they're like, you better not cheap out on us and start watering us down for our 2 to 5 pints or whatever. But
Yes.
yeah, it just brings that sort of like humor and sort of like ribbing, jabs or something, joking, to bring people out of a serious topic, because I feel like maybe they could have played this very hard and very in your face, and I don't want to say like heavy-handed or anything, or moralistic, but just kind of trying to bring something back down and make it relatable if it seemed like too strict to people, or too moralistic, or if they were just trying to bring that to the crowd, but also like, this is a holiday, like, so you know what I mean, just bringing the mood back up, bringing that to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I can totally imagine there'd be people who were like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna go along till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's when the innkeepers are on. That's the Harrowing of Hell. I want to make sure I'm there for that one, but like, yeah, no, like, I'll just give the first few carts a miss. Eric, I think you had your hand up, and then I'll come to Irene, and then we must move on.
Well, it depends, like, because I think you could also play this for a lot of laughs, because, like, you can have this moment of like sort of them, the anticipation of Jesus arriving, and then obviously like sort of the gates get blown off or whatever, and then among all the smoke and dust and whatever you want to do with the visual effects, you have like this huge shadow looming over them, and then in true cartoon form, you would have like a tiny, like, I don't know, maybe a boy actually walking through, as opposed to like Jesus being a man. Just because it would be funnier to have this huge imposing shadow and then person coming right through. But yeah, maybe that's me. Yeah, I have nothing else to add. Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted there through all of that. Sorry, Irene.
I'm still going on about that last scene, because I found it interesting, because it's kind of an old tradition. I mean, maybe they didn't know about it, but it is, like, even in ancient Greece, the tragedies, like the trilogy of 3 tragedies, was also paired with a 4th play, which was a satire play, which was a comedy. So it's like, when there's too much drama and hell and fire and brimstone and all of that, then you need to lighten the mood, because and so it's like a very old, for me, a very old tradition to have comedy at the end of drama.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the culinary equivalent of a sorbet course to cleanse the palate, and of course this was the cook's play, so they knew what they were about. Right, okay. If there's no one else has anything to say, we will move on. It's interesting though, before we finish, just it's interesting to think about how that play would have landed without that bonus episode at the end, because it would have been a very different, I mean, yeah, we've spent most of our time talking about it, and it would have been a very different and a much duller play without it. But anyway, let's move on to play 18. This is the Skinner's play, and we've been down to hell. We've had our our sort of, yes, our palate cleanser, and we're back now in the real world, up top, as it were, with the soldiers and everybody who was in the crucifixion scene is back, and we begin with Pilate.
Per voice, Sir Caiaphas, et voice a voice, Sir Annas, et some disciple Judas, God treason fute et grande lucius dilute, amoe per foit delivery nostra dam fute judge, poloite roy estrit. You lordings and ladies, so lovely and lear, you kemps, you know knights of kind, hearkens all hitherward, and hestes to hear, for I am most fairest and freshest to find, and most highest I am of the state. For I am Prince Peerless, most royal man of riches, I may deal and I may dress. My name is Sir Pilate. For Caesar, Lord most of prostate, honoured my estate and my degree. When that he sent Jesus to me, deliver him to the dead, they cried on me all with one voice. The Jews on me made great noise. I gave them leave to hang him on a cross. This was through Jews read. I dread yet lest he will us grieve, for I saw, I may well believe, I saw the stones begun to cleave, and dead men come up and can rise. For in this city all about was none so stern nor so stout, that durst look up for great doubt, that could not soon agrise. And therefore, Sir Caiaphas, yet I dread, lest there were some peril in that deed. I saw him hang on rod and bleed, till all his blood was shed. And when he should his death take, the weather waxen rond was black, light thunder, and earth began to quake. Therefore I am adread.
And this was yesterday about noon?
Yea, Sir Bishop, this is one. To speak therefore we have to done. For I let bury him soon in a tomb of stone. And therefore, sirs, amongst us three, let us ordain and oversee. Is there any peril be for ere we'nce gone?
Sir Pilate, all this was done, as we saw after soon. Believe, at afternoon the weather began to clear. And, sir, if it be your will, such words you let be still, and speak of another skill, lest any man is here.
Yea, Sir Pilate, not for thy, I saw him and his company raise men with sorcery that long before were dead. For, and there be any more such laughed, which can of such witchcraft, if that body be of us raft, advise you well, I rade.
Yea, Sir Pilate, I tell thee right. Let us ordain many a hard knight, well armed to stand and fight, with power and with force. That no shame to us befall, let us ordain here amongst us all, and true men to us call, to keep well the course.
Now, by Jesus, that died on rod, methink your consul wondrous good. The best men of kind and blood, anon I will call him. Sir Colaphan and Sir Jepharus, Orest and Sir Gorpas, we pray you, sirs, here in this case, anon look on ye blind. My knights stiff and stern of heart, you may be bold men and smart. I warn you now, at words short, with you I have to done.
Sir, we be here, all in sum, as bold men, ready bone, to drive your enemies all adown, well, that we may stand. We be your knights, every one, faintness in us there shall be none. We will be broken upon thy phone, wherever he may be found, and for no dread that we will want.
That I am well up to understand. You be men, doughty of hand. I love you without lack. But that profit that was done and draw, through the recounting of your law, that yet something me stands in awe of words that he spake. Forsooth, this I heard him say, that he would rise the third day. Now surely, if he so may, he hath a wondrous thatch.
Yea, let him rise if that him dare, and I may of him beware. He bode never a worse chair ere that he wend away. I helped to slay him erewhile, whence he was to do us more guile. Nay, it is no peril my head were dare I lay.
Yeah, let him quicken hardy, whilst my fellows here and I may awake and stand him by. He escapeth not uncaught. For and he once heave us up his head, but that he be soon dead, shall I never eat more bread, no, never more be sought.
Have good day, sirs. We will be gone. Give us our charge, everyone.
Now fares well the best of blood and bone. Now takes heed unto my sore, as I am a true Jew. If that you any treason sue, there is none of you all shall it eschew, but he shall be to draw.
Now, fellows, we be charged high. Our prince hath sworn that we shall die without any prophecy or any other enchère. But if we done as the wise I read us, we right will advise, though he be bold, he shall not rise. But one of us beware.
Sir, the most sweet layeth in thee to ordain and to oversee. You being the eldest of us three, the man of most renown, the tomb is here at our hand. Set us there as we shall stand. If that he rise, we shall pound and beat him all adown.
And I shall not set us so, if that he rise and would go. One of us, or else two, shall see of his uprist. Stand thou here and thou there, and I myself in middle mere. I trow our hearts will not fear, but it were stoutly wist.
And we have a stage direction. Then the two angels will sing Christ rising from the dead, and Christ will then rise again. And afterwards, when the song is finished, let him say as follows, while he rises and chases those soldiers on foot.
Earthly man that I have brought, awake out of thy sleep. Earthly man whom I have brought, of me thou take no keep. From heaven man's soul I sought into a dungeon deep. My dear lemon from thence I brought, for ruth of her I weep. I'm very Prince of Peace and King of free mercy, who will of sins have release on me the call and cry. And if they will of sin cease, I grant them peace truly. And thereto a full rich mess in bread, my own body. I am very bread of life, from heaven I am sent. Who eateth that bread, man or wife, shall live with me without end. And that bread that I you give, your wicked life to amend, becomes my flesh through your belief, and doth release your sinful band. And whosoever eateth that bread in sin and wicked life, he receiveth his own death. I warn both man and wife, the which bread shall be seen instead. The joy is aye full rife. When he is dead through bulls red, then is he brought to pain and strife.
A stage direction. Then the two angels, after Christ has risen, will sit in the tomb, one of which should sit at the head, the other at the feet.
Out, alas, where am I? So bright about is hereby, that my heart wholly out of slough is shaken. So foul-feared with fantasy was I never in none annoy, for I wot not, bitterly, whether I be on sleep or waken.
Where art thou, Sir Bachelor? About me is wondered clear. Wit me once without wear, for feareder I never was, to remove far or near. He fails might and power. My heart in my body here is holden out of my breast.
Alas, what is this great light shining here in my sight? Marred I am, both main and might, to move have I no need. These two beasts that are so bright, power I ne have to rise aright. Me fails with them for to fight, would I ne'er so fain.
Yea, We are shent sickly, for Jesu is risen, well wot I, out of the sepulchre mightily, and therefore I have in mind. And as dead here can I lie, speak might I not, nay, espy which way he took. Truly my eyes, they were so blind.
Yea, I will creep forth on my knee, till I this peril passed be, for my way I may not see, neither earth nor stone. Yea, in a wicked time we nailed him on the wrong tree, for as he said, in days 3 risen he is and gone.
High we fast we were away, for this is God's Son, verray. Strive with him we may, that master is and more. I will to Caiaphas, by my faith, these sooth openly for to say, farewell, sirs, and have a good day, for I will go before.
We two laying here, it is no boot, for needs to Sir Pilate we moot, and tell him both crop and root, as soothly as we wist. For and the Jews knew, as well as we, that he were risen through his posty. Then should the last era be worse than was the first.
Hearken, Sir Pilate, thee the sooth to saying, Jesus that was on Friday slain, through his might is risen again. This is the 3rd day. There come a power him to fed. But such a sleep on us, he said, that none of us might him let to rise and go his way.
Now by the oath that I have to Caesar sworn, all you dog sons before to mourn shall die, therefore think no scorn if it be on you long. If that you have privily sold him to his company, then are you worthy for to die right in your own wrong.
Now by the order that I bear of night, he rose up in the morning light by virtue of his own might. I know it well afine. He rose up, as I say now, and left us lying, I wot near how, all be mazed and in a swoon, as we had seen sticked swine.
Fie, thief! Fie, traitor! Fie on thee! Thy thrift is full bare. Fie, fiend! Fie, fater! Fie hence! Fast, I read thou fie.
That time that he his way took, durst I neither speak nor look, but for fear I lay and cook, and lay in sound dream. He set his foot upon my back, that every life began to crack. I would not bide such another shack for all Jerusalem.
Fie, Pilate! Fie, hound! Fie on thee, thou tainted dog! Why, thou still in thy shroud, and let thy lozenger go to thee rog. Sir Caiaphas and Sir Annas, what say you to this trespass? I pray you, sirs, in this case advise me of some rede.
Good sir, I you pray, hearkens to me what I you say, for much availed us it may, and do after my spell. Pray them now, sir, perdie, as they love and well thee, and here as they stand and all 3, to keep well our counsel.
Sir Bishop, I say to you, Vermont, unto your counsel I fully assent. This foolish prophet that we all to rent, through his witchcraft is stolen away. Therefore let us call our council together, and let us conclude to the whole matter, or else our laws are done forever hereafter.
Now, in good faith, full woe is me, and so I true been all ye, that he is risen us privately, and is from us escaped. Now, I pray you, sirs, as you love me, keep this close in privity until our council, until we have heard how he escaped.
Stage direction, then he will give them the money and they will leave, and the women will come crying and complaining.
Alas, no Lorn is my liking, for woe I wander and hands wring. My heart in sorrow and sighing is sad, set and sore. That I most loved of all thing, alas, is now full low lying. Why am I, Lord, so long living, to lose thy lucksome lore?
Alas, well away is went my help, my heel from me is hent. My Christ, my comfort that is me kent, is clung on now in clay. Mighty God omnipotent, thou give them and hard judgment, that my sovereign hath so shent, so now I may well say.
And Irene, Maria Salome was originally your part. Would you like her, or shall I read in?
It's okay. I can hear.
Yep, carry on.
Alas, now marred is my might, my lord, through whom that I was light, shamefully slain here in my sight, my sorrow in eye unsought. Sith I may have no other right of these devils that have my lord so dight, to balm his body that is so bright, boist here that have I brought.
Sister, which of us every one shall remove this great stone that lieth my sweet lord upon? For move it I ne may.
Sister, mastery it is none. It seems to me as we are gone, for on the sepulchre sitteth one, and the stone away.
2 children there I see sitting, all of white in their clothing, and a stone besides lying. Go we near and see.
And stage direction, then they will go and look in the tomb.
What seek ye, women? What seek ye here, with weeping and with unliking cheer? Jesus, that to you was dear, is risen. Leave you me.
Be not afraid of us in fear, for he is gone withouten we're. As he before can you leer forth into Galilee.
This is the place be ye apaid, that Jesu our Lord was inlaid. But he is risen, as he said, and heathen went away.
Hie you, for aught that may befall, and tell his disciples all, and Peter also, say you shall there find him that you may.
Aye, we fast for anything and tell Peter this tiding. A blessedful word we may him bring, sooth, if that it were.
Yea, walk, sister, thou, sister, by one way we another shall say, till we have met with him today, my dear worth Lord, so dear.
At stage direction, then they will leave and walk around the space, and then she will meet the disciples Peter and John.
Peter and John, alas, there is befallen a wondrous case. Some man my lord stolen has, and put him I wot not where.
What, is he removed out of the place in the which he buried was?
Yea, sickerly all my solace is gone, and is not there.
Peter, go, we thither anon, running as fast as we may gone, and look who have removed the stone, and whether he be away.
Abide, brother sweet John, lest we meet with any fon, but now I see none other one. To run, I will essay.
Stage direction, then they both run together, but John runs faster than Peter and does not enter the tomb.
Peter, brother, in a fay, my Lord Jesus is away. But his sundry truth to say, lying it here I find by itself, as thou mayst see, far from all other clothes it lay. Now Mary's words are sooth away, and we may have in mind.
Yea, but as God keep me from woe, into the sepulchre I will go, to look whether it be very so, as Mary to us can say.
Stage direction, then he will enter the grave.
Our Lord, blessed be thou ever and oh, for as thou told me and other mo, I find thou hast overcome our foe, and risen art in good fay.
Stage direction, then let Peter say, lamenting,
Our Lord, how shall I do for shame, that have deserved so much blame, to forsake thy sweet name, to meet with thee by any way? I that in penance and great annoy, my sweet Lord forsake thry, save endless hope of his mercy, thereto trust I may. For nay, it were his great grace and sorrow in heart that in me was, worse I were then than was Judas, my Lord so to forsake.
Peter, comfort in this case, for sicker my Lord Jesus accepted has great repentance for thy trespass. My Lord in heart will take. Go, we seek Jesu anon in hay, one way and the other eye.
Yea, well I hope through his might my penance shall him please.
And there's a stage direction, then they depart, this one by another road, and that by another. The women will come.
Hence will I never, sickerly, till I be comforted of mine annoy, and know where he is readily. Here will I sit and weep.
Woman, why weepest thou so high?
The son from my lord is taken away, and I wot near, thee sooth to say, who hath done this thing. Alas, why were I not dead today, clot and clungen under clay, to see my lord that here lay once to my liking?
Why weepest thou, woman? Tell me why. Whom seekest thou so tenderly?
My lord, sir, was buried hereby, and now he is away. If thou hast done me this annoy, tell me, leave sir hastily anon this ilk day.
Woman, is not thy name Mary?
A lord, I ask thee mercy.
Mary, touch not my body, for yet I have not been with my Father Almighty, but to my brethren go thou in high, and of this thing thou certify that thou hast swiftly seen. Say to them all that I will gone to my father that I came from, and their father he is also high, that thou need dwell.
Be thou blessed ever, and oh, now waft is all my woe. This is joy to them and other mo. Anon I will go tell.
Stage direction, Mary Magdalene went to Mary Jacobi and Mary Salome.
Women wail now one and is. My Lord Jesu is risen, it wis with him I spake a little ere this, and saw him with mine eye. My bale is turned into bliss, mirth and mind there may none miss, for he bade warn that was his to heaven that he would flee.
Assist I go, we search and see whether these words sooth be. No mirth were half so much to me, to see him in this place.
Ah, sister, I beseech thee, with full will wend we, for fain methinks me list to fly to see his fair face.
Stage direction, then the women will go, and Jesus will come to meet them, saying,
All hail, women, all hail.
A Lord, we leave us without fail, that art risen us to heal, and wavered us from woe.
Ah, welcome be thou, my sweet Lord. Let us kiss thy blessed feet, and handle thy wounds that be so weet, and ere that we hence go.
Be not afraid, women, of me, but to my brethren now wend ye, and bid them go to Galilee, there meet with me they mun.
Anon, Lord, done it shall be. Well that is then, this sight to see, for mankind, Lord, is brought by thee, and through thy great passion.
And then they go to Peter, and Salome says to him,
Peter, tidings good and new. We have seen my Lord Jesu on life clean in hide and hue, and handled have his feet.
Yea, well is ye that have been true, for I forswear that I him knew. Therefore shame makes me eschew with my Lord for to meet. But yes, I hope to see his face, though I have done so great trespass. My sorrow of heart I know he has, and to it will take heed. Thither, as he buried was, I will hie me to run apace, of my sweet Lord to ask grace for my foul misdeed.
then Jesus will come and meet Peter.
Peter, knowest thou not me?
Our Lord, mercy I ask thee, with full heart kneeling on my knee. Forgive me my trespass, my faint flesh and my frailty made me, Lord, false to be. But forgiveness, with heart free, thou grant me through thy grace.
Peter, so I thee behind, though I should forsake me that night, but of this deed thou have insight, when thou hast sovereignty. Think on thine own deed today, that flesh is frail and falling and merciful be thou always, now I am to thee. Therefore I suffered thee to fall, that to thy subjects hereafter all, that to thee shall cry and call, thou may have meaning. Sithen thyself so fallen has, the more inclined to grant grace. Go forth, forgiven is thy trespass, and have here my blessing.
And with that, play 18 ends. That's it, folks. And they all lived happily ever after, I suppose, kind of. Yeah, gosh, it was a long one, that one, wasn't it? Right, before we get off into thoughts about this, I'd like to welcome back Robert Crichton, our great leader. And we have to say goodbye to Olga as well. Hi, Rob, over to you.
Yes, so yes, they all lived happily ever after, apart from the ones that will eventually get killed. Going forward, it's not a great life being a disciple. That's play 18. I don't know how much chatting you did between the previous two plays, but I think you probably got a bit of chatting in. And thoughts on the return? Lots of Marys, get to see a bit of Jesus. Lynn. Oh, muted at present.
I was amused by the soldiers and their tough guy talk. They better not try to rise again on my watch. Yeah, let him try that. Funny.
Yes, there is a sort of comic farce element to the way the soldiers are played in this. It's very different from earlier soldiers / figures that we've encountered in that sort of role who have might have a comic edge, but they're also just generally a lot more darker. Whereas these are just going, nope, it's my job. Other thoughts in the room? I've got a lot of Marys seeing things in slightly different orders. And yeah, are we getting a sense of the three Marys being quite distinctly different people, or are they all sort of basically quite similar? How are they functioning? I wasn't here. I'm just trying to remember what happened in Chester. I'm trying to throw out some talking points. We're into final thoughts very much for this play and for others. Alan, and then Sarah.
Yeah, I think probably in a staging you would actually do something with costuming to distinguish between the various Marys. Because it does become darn difficult to work out who is who simply from voice. But I mean, it does seem to work quite nicely as a play, this one, but nowhere near as entertaining as the sort of the extra bit at the end of the previous play.
Yes, we have the it's a very random little extra comic motion, which isn't in necessarily all versions of Chester. Chester, of course, is a text that evolved over a long period of time, and there are slightly different variations on how the text is recorded to us, and the Reformation did a lot of damage as well, potentially, to the text that came to us. Sarah?
Yes, I mean, going back to the Marys, I mean, I kind of felt that they were wheeled in collectively whenever we needed a bit of pathos, because it's funny, it's not very. I've done other mystery plays or like religious plays with you where it's been very emotional and very intense, and this wasn't particularly, which I guess is maybe something to do with the fact that it's on carts or whatever. But I don't know. But it's like, oh, okay, so maybe everything's just happening a bit, maybe there's a bit too much sort of action, or there's a bit too much swagger, or it's all a bit matter of fact, so let's just wheel the Marys in and get a bit of lamenting going on, but within that, like how you would, like for a modern production, how you would sort of distinguish between them, I think would probably the way you'd have to do it would be to lean in to their function, as the bringers of pathos, and sort of maybe have them grieving in different ways. Like one could be very angry, one could be, very distraught, very, very soft, very, and just sort of try and find the differences there, maybe.
Yeah. I always find the way that... Oh, Eric.
Well, I was going to say that technically they are different because one of them is his lover / other half, whereas the others are kind of the sister of, the sisters of Lazarus, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh, potentially. Let's
potentially, yeah.
let's not try to discombobulate. There are different traditions as to whose Mary is who, and how related they are into each other as well. So again,
Yeah.
that's where Protestant and Catholic interpretations are quite different.
Yeah. I don't know, it's just they have their own characteristics, but they're so small. So it's kind of like they're like the kind of thing. It's like they're all collectively women, all women hail, all women, be not afraid, women of me, and all that stuff. So it's kind of like I'm going to see the bros now, and it's like, well, yeah, that doesn't really tell you much.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I always find there's this difficulty in squaring the circle, in the sense that they go to the tomb. There's two angels there. They tell the three Marys that he's risen, and then Mary has to return to default "I'm sad" mode for when she then meets Jesus, and it's like, I always find there's something slightly off about that. Like, there's actually just two versions of the same story that have just come to us in slightly different ways, and trying to put them together in one play is always a bit of a slightly untidy. But that's just me. He's back. Look, he says hi, and all's well. It's fine. Any final thoughts? I'm not going to go around the room for final thoughts because we are very, very behind, as it were. But anyone got any final things they want to throw in about the lot, all of them that you've done so far? Alan?
I'm just wondering, I know that when we're dealing with theatrical stuff of the period that we normally deal with, which is slightly after this, we are talking about all male companies of players. Do you know anything about whether the mystery cycles would have actually had females performing?
They're probably men. We do have female performance in cloisters, and nuns. Nuns will are known to do certain kinds of performance work. And it's not against the law or anything. I should point out there is no necessarily official thing saying women cannot act. It's just generally speaking not done. I think the big thing against saying women would be performing in these is just it's partly because it's going via the guilds, so it's effectively there's a closed shop on it. But also, I don't think we've got any literature saying, how dare a woman go on do this? She wasn't worthy enough to be Mary or whatever. Or nobody's complained about it anywhere, and I think that's the problem. If there were complaints about it, then I think we'd be on firmer ground. It's not impossible, but it's unlikely within this context. In a smaller scale, local parish thing, I suppose, if you have a particularly respectable woman who could play Mary or something, then maybe that in that context it would be fine. But in this context, almost certainly not. But we await developments. Who knows? Someone may have found some evidence somewhere. It has happened. Eric.
What I'm trying to understand is that, okay, obviously we had the whole thing about pageant wagons and all that stuff, but then does that then mean that, like, if these performances are happening on the same day / at the same time, does that mean you have like 12 Jesuses if you have 12 plays?
Yes.
Or,
basically.
okay.
I mean, the Chester's more complicated. It started as a one-day event happening on Corpus Christi, and then it was transferred and became a 3-day event over Whitsun. And these texts are more representative of the later performances of the dates. I mean, these are Tudor texts. Some of them are copied in the Stuart times. So they're late 16th century copies as these plays are being suppressed. So, people are trying to make sure that they survive. So they're not necessarily going back to the earliest medieval tradition that we might have of literally, whereas in York, everything was done on the same day. And yes, you'd have about a dozen Jesuses, and you'd recognise him because of his costume and his mask, and the way he'd be presented on the stage, rather than the individual actor in that sense. Hence the fact that everything's slightly more monumental, because it's all about signifying who your character represents, rather than actually necessarily going deep into what your character is like. We have 1 minute. Any final thought to throw in? These are performed today with various different adjustments and changes. I do always remember the national version of the guards at the sepulchre, which is basically done as a conjuring trick. Jesus is put in the tomb. They open the doors. He's not there. How did he get out? And it's there's lots of, they do play very much with the comedy of the guards at that, and I think there's a lot more mileage here with the plays we did today than some of the other ones where there are a lot more problematic elements getting in the way. Rachael.
I don't know. Alan was saying before that some of these carts had like 2 levels to them, so maybe like they were doing it by like not a trap door, but you know what I mean, just that stage, the door in the bottom of the stage to bring somebody down, you know what I mean, and then they would reappear, and maybe that's some technical business that if somebody was gonna stage this in a theater that they could use, or maybe that's obvious, I have no idea, or just something that they did at a certain point.
Yes,
or if they
yeah, absolutely, all of those things, all of those things. Eric, before I close.
Well, basically, just to answer Rachel's point, I seem to remember we had scaffolding, like elaborate scaffolding in the Castle of Perseverance, which is like an entirely different type of morality play, or / mystery play. But yeah, there was like 7 levels or something. I can't remember.
But that was very much a built area settings that remained stationary, whereas the carts could be quite elaborate and they could have levels, but they still also have to navigate the streets of Chester in this context. So I think we do have a reasonably good idea of their dimensions, but they could be bigger or smaller depending on how they work, and also use the street level as well, potentially, or other furniture that might be about. Anyway, I must close this session. Thank you very much, Sarah, for covering for my absence and keeping everything ticking over. There will be more on Chester very, very soon. All that remains, thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Seen my Lord Jesus and handled his feet.